Okay, record. There we go. Dag nabbit.
It's a good thing I called in, otherwise I won't have the recording.
I know. I know. All right. So tonight we want to talk about a brand new program called um, a Club Ambassador program. And the whole goal, did you guys get the emails I sent out about the Club Ambassador program and you saw the form and that kind of stuff? So what I want to do tonight is kind of explain the theory behind it and the logic behind it and then walk through kind of the basics of it. This isn't we're going to implement it tomorrow thing. This is, I want all of you to understand what's happening. So when we do calls next week to start rolling it out to all of our club officers, so we start that process and you start rolling out your club officers as well, it's something that you'll be more comfortable talking about, not just the what, but the why is so much more important in this than the what is. Because the form's just a form, but the concept behind it, I think, is the most important part. So the Club Ambassador program is one of those things that I brought with me from Florida, because when I joined, Toastmasters in District 84 already had a Club Ambassador program, and the concept was incredibly simple. Go meet people in other clubs and make friends out there. And it was a way to incentivize people to go out and make friends with other Toastmasters, experience different club meetings, just have fun with different people so that you're not kind of stuck in that same rut of going to the same club, the same time, the same place with the same people, week after week and month after month and year after year. And when I was there, I found it to be incredibly effective, especially as I started to work my way through club leadership, in being able to find folks out there that I connected with that I could go ask questions to. I didn't have to go track down my area director all the time or my division director when I didn't know something. I just pick up the phone and just call one of my friends in a different club, be like, hey, what's this? What do you do? Help me out. And it built a great network, and they would call me. And as we worked our way through different club offices, we became a community. We became a tribe that we were each other's best friends. And I found it to be a great Toastmasters experience, to be not just connected theoretically through Toastmasters, but to be personally connected, to be tied into the well-being of other people and to want to walk that walk with them, beside them, and have somebody walking beside you. I could not have been happier about that. Well, my life has taken some dramatic turns over the past 7 years. So right now I am on my third district in 5 years. It was 4 years, now it's 5 years. And we are in our seventh address in 4 years.
Wow.
There are people in witness protection that move less than us.
You're worse than the military.
Well, yes, I am. That is absolutely true. So I went from 84 to 47, back to 84, and now to 11. And a couple of things I noticed along the way. When I went to 47, they were just starting to roll out the ambassador program. And the members that really took to it, all of a sudden found this whole new tribe, this whole new group of members out there that they became friends with. And all of a sudden, those like waning people, the ones who were like, I think I like Toastmasters. I think this is fun. Then they went out and saw stuff in other places like, oh, that's a lot of fun. We should do that thing. That's a lot of, I like those people too. I want to be friends with them. And all of a sudden the engagement levels went up and it was fantastic. Then I came to District 11 and it was winter. And there's a difference between Florida in winter and Indiana in winter. And that's about 60 degrees. And what I found when I came here is I thought that the winter might have had something to do with the fact that members didn't go visit other clubs. I thought, well, it's cold. I don't want to go outside either. So I don't want to go do that thing. So why? I get it. Like, who's going to do that? And then spring came and nobody went and visited other clubs. Then I went, huh, well, that's weird. And then summer came. I was like, I don't think that's a thing that they do. So I started asking around. I was a division director. I started asking around to the clubs up here. And I said, well, when was the last time you went and visited the other clubs that are in Fort Wayne? It was not that big of a place. And I was shocked when I found out that there were members that had been around for 20 and 30 years that had never been to other clubs. It was like they knew this one thing, this one little narrow thing of Toastmasters amazingly, intimately well. Like they knew everything about what had ever happened in their club. But if you ask them what it was like in another club 4 miles away, they're like, That's not my thing. I don't know. You have to ask them that. That's not what we do. We don't know what they do. I was like, oh, now I get part of it. Okay. So I wanted to try, when I first came, I was like, so let's do an ambassador program. So I rolled out the club ambassador program here last year with some moderate success, but I very much believe in the concept. So the whole idea behind it isn't for another piece of paperwork for people to fill out or just another random program. This is something that'll be around for at least a couple of years. I know that because I know I'll run for district director next year, and I have every intention this will be something that we'll definitely keep for as long as I am in district offices. The goal is absolutely to connect people that wouldn't necessarily be connected, to incentivize people to go out and visit other clubs and learn other things and bring back those experiences to their club. Because if you've ever been to another club, you know what it's like to all of a sudden learn something new. Shipla, what do you have?
I wanted to ask you a question. So we have the mentor program and the club coach programs. And is this ambassador, those two go into the DTM pathway, when
Yep.
you try to get your DTM, those count towards that. Is this anything like that, or is this
Nope.
a solitary thing?
This is just a District 11 thing right now. As far as I know, this is only in 4 districts around the country. I'm sure there's some other ones out there. It's not about earning credit for things. It's not about this isn't towards your DTM. This isn't towards DCP goals. This is all about building a community.
Okay.
You'll have more opportunities to become a mentor, to become a club coach, to become connected with other people, to walk with somebody in other clubs. But the goal of the program is purely to build connections, to help you get connected with members in other clubs, with members in other areas, in other divisions, maybe other districts. This is to help you expand your community and have the whole Toastmasters experience just be more fulfilling because you have more opportunities to experience other people.
The form had those points for different things, so I wonder.
Yep. We'll go through that. We'll go through the form in a little bit. Yeah, just sit tight. We're not quite to that point yet, but yes, we will walk through exactly what that means. Yes. Kathy, it sounds like it looks like you're leaning in like, I really want to ask something. Or did you just?
Oh,
by accident?
I'm leaning in reading that report.
Gotcha. Okay.
I did something fun with Dave Reddick was our area director last year, and I was the president of our club at that time. And so he came to visit our club, and we were talking about going for the Distinguished Club program, which we get every year. And so we had a little friendly wager. Whoever reached 10 points first, the other club would have to come visit and bring refreshments for the meeting.
Ooh,
and
fun.
We won, but then we had all this COVID come up, and so they were welcome to come join our virtual meeting. I believe Dave was the only one that did that. But it was kind of neat to just, like you said, just to have that thought of there's other people out there that are doing the same thing we are. I also felt that when I went to my first district conference. I thought, wow, look at all these people here and they were very welcoming. And, I made friends that day, and it was just really, you're really onto something with this whole ambassador thing, I think.
That's exactly why we're doing this. Is we want you to build more friends. We want you to build a better network out there of Toastmasters. Largely, Toastmasters are really nice people. It's very rare when you come across a Toastmaster that's not a nice person. Like, oh, that's the one.
Yeah, and they're not in it very long.
It's not out there often. And if you're talking about club officers, it's even more rare. You're like, oh, what happened there? So this is just an opportunity just to help you learn some other stuff. And you'd be amazed how many people you meet in Toastmasters that help you outside of Toastmasters with stuff you would have never thought about. And this is all about professional development, personal development, and enhancement to help you have just a little bit of a more fulfilling experience through Toastmasters. Those 3 keywords: is it transformational? Is it fun? And is it meaningful? Those are the things that really matter, and that's why we're doing this exceptionally well. Cool? So we understand kind of the theory behind the whole thing, right? We on board? We think the whole thing's a good idea? Thumbs up if you think it's a good idea.
Amen.
All right. Very cool. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen so we can walk through the form. All right. I'm going to say that again. There we share my screen.
Not yet. There.
There we go. All right. So the form is, it's a really simple idea, but I want to talk through kind of the why behind all of the things are on here. And there are a couple things you'll notice on this one that are slightly different from the one that you are holding in front of you, which came from the call on Tuesday night. So a couple things that as I was typing, I was like, I wonder if, and they brought up the same ideas. And I was like, that's a really good point. We should change that. So a couple of things are a little bit different on yours, and I'll explain kind of the why behind it. So the whole goal behind this whole thing is, again, to get people to go and visit other clubs. But there needs to be some kind of record behind it. We will be collecting points for going to visit other clubs. Kathy, I'm going to mute you. I'm sorry. Okay. So the goal is you are going to collect points for it, but the objective isn't the points, it's the process. It's the relationships you build along the way, kind of like the DCP program. Anybody can go out and earn DCP points, but if you're not doing the right things, you still have a troubled club. Sometimes when you do the right things, the points just fall into place, and those are the strongest clubs that are out there. It's kind of the same way. You can always work the system, but this isn't about the reward. We want to reward you with something. We'll talk about that also. But we don't want this to be focused on who's winning. Yes, it would be cool if we did like a party that the winners have to go, that we all go to the winners club and bring them something. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but Kathy, that's a good idea. Everyone's food motivated, especially when you're on Weight Watchers. I'm very food motivated right now. So the goal is really simple. You understand that part. So as you go through this, if you look about halfway down the page, it says list 3 things about the club visited. And there are 3 things that are unique to that club that aren't in your club. It could be the amount of people on Zoom. It could be because it was the funny hat day on the Zoom call. When you met in person, it could be because it's the first time you've ever been in Sweetwater or the first time you've ever been to that building. Whatever it is that's different, you can write down 3 things that were unique about that club visit. Now, the reason why we want to do that isn't just to record, oh yeah, they were there. That's not really the idea. The idea is to help you think about what are they doing differently in this club, and how is that different from my experience in my club? Is it beneficial for the members, or is it challenging for the members? What are the things that are good? What are the things that are bad? And it helps you and helps the member that visits start to gather in those ideas of what they can take back to their club to help enhance that experience for all their members. So that's why we do the 3 things about the club visit. It makes sense to why we're doing that part? Thumbs up if we think that's a good idea. Sweet. All right, moving on. Points. This is where people collect the points going towards the Club Ambassador of the Year. First place, bring a friend with you. How many of us have clubs that have way too many members? That we are just have so many members, we can't fit them all into a room. We're about ready to split because we just have way too many members. Shockingly, nobody has raised their hand for that one. How many of us would love to see a new face on a Zoom call once in a while? Right? You see the same 8 people maybe every single week or every other week, depending upon when your club meets. The goal for this is really twofold. First, we want you to go visit another club. And if you bring somebody new, maybe there's somebody that's not a Toastmaster, and you can introduce them to a new group of people that it might be closer to their home. So if you have a club, even though virtually right now we could go visit a club in China and it's as close to our house here as what the club across the street is, because the only backup we have is that backup between the kitchen and the hallway when the dog gets in the way. But when we go back and meet in person, it's good to find clubs that are near people's homes. So if you take somebody with you to a virtual meeting that might be at a club near their home or near where they work or even at where they work, it's a great way of introducing them to Toastmasters and to an organization that might help them. The second thing, and this is even, I think, more important than that first one, if you go to a meeting and there's somebody else with you that's a friendly face, how likely are you to have a better experience if you already know somebody there as opposed to you being the one outcast there? Is it more comfortable when you know somebody in a room? And it's even more important when you go visit somewhere. Do you remember the first time you walked into your club? You remember how comfortable that was? You walked in like, this is the greatest thing. I know when I walked in, I was like, these people are strange. I have no idea what's happening. Why are they ringing bells? They clap incessantly. They're standing up and sitting down and shaking hands and voting for. I have no idea what's happening. I was overwhelmed beyond belief. And we have a lot of visitors that come in that kind of have that same experience. Have you had visitors ever come to your club in person that when they walked away, you kind of see the glazed look over the face, like, what just happened to me? What was that? We all do weird stuff in our clubs, right? Like, how many of you have a bell when you have, for odd counters? Does anybody have a bell out there to audibly correct ahs and ums? Oh, Kathy's like, oh, that's tough. It's a great way to call out in real time when you have an ah, an a so, an and, an all of those things. But it can be, if you have somebody who does a lot of them, it can sound like Clarence is getting his wings every 36 seconds. That's a movie reference. Yes.
I've been in a club before where we used a clicker net, and that way the individual heard when they were making grammarian mistakes. And then one of the clubs within Division H, Bosma Enterprises, a good probably 80% of their members are blind.
Okay.
And so, of course, they can't see the timing lights. So whoever is denoted the timer ends up knocking on the desk.
Nice.
No.
Very nice. If there are clubs out there that really get into the whole audible reminder of when there's a crutch word. One of the clubs I was president of in Orlando, Winter Park Toastmasters, one of the biggest community clubs out there. When I was president, we had 82 members. We would get 45 to 50 people every single meeting, and we charged $7 a head to every member every single meeting. It was basically a de facto National Speakers Association for Orlando because there wasn't an NSA chapter in Orlando. The closest one was Tampa. So they had all gravitated to that club over the years. They didn't just have the nice little dinging bell. They had a backup buzzer that if the dinger missed, then the buzzer, it was one of those awful, like the loud doorbell, like bzzz, like somebody was getting electrical shock in the back of the room to remind the ah counter that they missed an ah. So you can take it to whatever degree, but it was one of those things when I first joined, and it was all through Central Florida. I didn't understand why there were bells. I would have loved to have had somebody there with me at the time to explain that stuff to me. Like if you're somebody who visits your club, Donna, I'm sure that they need someone to explain to them the population of the club and also what's the knocking happening, all those things you're doing for those members that are there. So having a friend can help you. It can help both build membership for your clubs, which we all would love to have more members in our clubs, more active members in our clubs, and it makes it more comfortable for anybody visiting a club that might not necessarily be really comfortable going out and visiting other clubs and meeting other people by themselves. So does that make sense why the most points you get is for bringing a friend to really encourage the visiting? Does that all make sense to why that's so important in this? Thumbs up if you get that part.
Yes.
Very cool. All right. So the second, present a pathways project or speech during the meeting. How many of you have ever gone to a meeting and you realize there are no speakers? Or one speaker? It happens all the time. If you have somebody who has contacted you in advance and says, hey, I'm coming to visit a club next week, can I give a speech? We would most likely say absolutely, because we would love to hear somebody else's voice, especially on Zoom calls. Most of the Zoom calls seem to be somewhere at the topping out around 12 to 16 people tops for Zoom calls. The clubs that I'm in up here on our Zoom calls, if we get 6, we have had a really good week. So we hear the same people over and over. Are you guys kind of in the same boat that you hear the same like 5, 6 voices all the time in your meetings? So having somebody come in and speak to you is great for your members because they get to hear somebody else. It's great for somebody else coming in because they get to speak to a completely different audience. They get a different evaluation, a different perspective, and it helps folks move through their paths a little bit more effectively and efficiently. So giving a project or a speech at a meeting, wonderful way to not just visit, but also to start to become interjected into that club culture and into that club meeting. A great way to do that. So that's why you get points for the project or the speech during the meeting. So it makes sense why we want to do that and how that's beneficial. Thumbs up if you dig that part. Sweet. All right. Performing a meeting role other than table topics participants. Anybody ever have trouble getting people to show up that have roles at meetings? Kathy's like, oh my goodness. Evaluators don't show, grammarians don't show, the person with the suitcase with all the stuff in it doesn't show, there's no timing lights. We've all had those meetings where we need somebody to help out, but if you go to one of these meetings and you become an active participant, do you remember those folks that came in and just offered to help right away? All of a sudden now you're a helper to them. You've just taken that first step from just being a visitor into a friend. So performing a meeting role helps you build that relationship. And it's one of the easiest things you can possibly do when somebody says, okay, we need a grammarian, an counter, whatever, a vote counter. Who can help us out? I'll do that. Thank you very much. When I first moved to Fort Lauderdale, the first thing I did is I volunteered to do roles at every meeting I attended because there was always somebody missing. And I made a ton of friends in Fort Lauderdale really quickly because of that. Seeing the same thing when I came to Indiana. I volunteered for everything, and I would walk out of the rooms, people would be like, who's that guy? Where's he from? So it's a great way to be remembered as well. Select a foe. So everyone's cool with how participating helps the connection, yes? Thumbs up, yes. Fantastic. All right. Submitting a photo or a screenshot. Now, when we met live, it's really cool to take a picture of you and the members and the banner so we can post that stuff on social media. We can give that stuff to Adele and she can send that out and say, here are the clubs that are visiting other clubs. Here are the members that are going out and experiencing new things. Great way to be able to do that. But right now, most of our clubs are meeting in their living rooms or dining rooms or a closet or wherever it is. So just a screenshot. And it's for 2 reasons. One, because we want to make sure that you went, because anything that's a game, someone's going to try to game the system. We know that's a thing. DCP points is a great example of people who find ways to game the system. There's a reason why DTMs often end up standing for don't tell me, don't time me, or did the manual. We don't want this to be one of those things that just becomes hollow. We want it to become something that we recognize. So the photo is both, so the number one reason is so we can celebrate people's participation and success and how we're building our tribe and building our community around District 11. And the second part of it really is just to make sure that folks are doing the things that they said they're going to do. Cool with that? Yes. The last 2, tell us the favorite phrase you heard in the meeting in a speech or something that was overheard, and that's something that you probably will remember and will remind yourself of that group in the future. And the last one, I think is probably the most important. What practice are you taking back to your club? Because if you're going to go visit another club and you can learn from something that somebody else does well, and you can take that back to your club and enhance your club meetings, that is such a more beneficial way to be able to help grow the culture and grow the experience of your members also. It doesn't mean everything is going to get adopted, but it means you can go back and talk about it. You can go back at the next club meeting and be like, hey, I went to visit Talks, and Talks does this thing. We've never done this thing. Or I went to visit Winter Park, and they have an electrical shock treatment hooked up to speakers in the back that I think we should not do that. But it becomes a conversation, right? It becomes fun with that kind of stuff. So the more you can take back to your club, because in the end, what's that?
I said, that's a horrible example. I'm feeling the shock.
And I was president there. I was a member there for 2.5 years. The amount of buzzes I got over the time. But if you notice, I don't speak with a lot of ums and uhs anymore. And a lot of it is because of the shock treatment. It wasn't that I got like physically shocked, but it's shocking in the middle of a sentence to hear this. What was that? My dog just got up like, what was that? So all those things help us grow our community and help us tie people together. So does all this make sense in the points to how you earn them, why you earn them, and what the overall theory is behind them? Does that all make sense? Shilpa, does that make sense for you? Does that answer the questions you had about the points? Giddy up. Awesome. All right. So then the ambassador agreement down on the bottom. We talked about this for a long time in the last call, and I think we've come up with kind of a really nice concept behind this. So who's eligible? Any member can go visit any other club and get points for visiting that club once. Any area director can go visit any other club that they want to as well. If you have to go visit a club to go do your area visits, you can still get the points for that. And the reason is this: we would like to encourage area directors to go visit clubs and do area visits that aren't just, I'm going to fill out a piece of paper, but it's, I'm going to help build a relationship. The relationship for the area directors is so much more important than just completing the form. So how many of you are, as new area directors, how many of you have gone in to look at the forms yet? How did you like that? Did you notice that it takes like an hour to complete each one of those forms? Maybe not, maybe 40 minutes or so. It's a lot of typing. It's a lot of stuff. We want to incentivize people to go out and not just go out that one time. We want you to go back. We want you to go out and build some relationships, make some friends with people. Because if you can go out and be part of the meeting, and you can go out and fulfill a role and to take a pic and do all these things, you're going to become more connected to that club. And the goal in the end isn't to get the points, isn't to do the visit, it's to build the relationships, because that's what Toastmasters is all about. It's about the relationships. That's the most important part. Division directors, same thing. You can go out and you can visit clubs within your division, because we want you to be tied into the clubs within your division. And if you are at home and there are clubs meeting online, this is the easiest time in the world to go out and visit a ton of other clubs. You can go visit as many clubs as there are hours in the day conceivably. I'm still members of clubs in Florida, and my club meeting this morning in Orlando, we had somebody that came from London that actually came and gave a speech. We had somebody come from Georgia, and we had somebody from San Jose, California, that we meet at 7:30 in the morning, which meant that it was 4:30 a.m. in San Jose, California. I'm hoping that they work the night shift somewhere, because that's insane. But great way to be able to do that. The whole goal is to be able to go out and build the relationships. Now, when we first did this in Florida, and because it's Orlando, have you ever been to Disney before? Anybody ever been to Disney World, Disneyland?
Mm-hmm.
You ever come across those people that collect pins? You see the pin traders out there? Well, if you live in Orlando, that is just part of the Orlando culture. Like, we collect pins for everything. It is a big deal. So our big reward at the end of the year was we wanted a pin. Like, we wanted a pin. And I said that on the call Tuesday night, and Mark Walton was like, "You've got to be kidding me. A pin? No." And I was like, all right. So we're going to put it out there.
What does it look like?
I actually traded all mine away.
No, the ambassador pin.
I traded mine away. I don't have mine anymore.
Oh, well, no, the one that we're going to earn. You don't have it yet?
So here's the thing. So we're not going to give pins, because Mark Walton and everyone on Tuesday's call was adamant that that was a horrible reward, that nobody's going to want pins. So we're going to open it up to the entire deck and say, what do you want the reward to be for this? Because the whole goal for this is to help us build energy behind the program, to build energy behind the visits. And if we can do something that is meaningful to members, that's the most important part. Shilpa, you'll have your mouth is open like, oh my God.
Oh, no, I was just queuing up to talk.
Oh,
I'm thinking a certificate, something, even a digital one, where we could display on LinkedIn, which would also get some more visibility to the external world.
okay.
I
Well,
like
That's
the
what I thought.
pin. I
Yeah.
like the pin.
two
I
votes for a pin.
I
Two
like
votes
the
for a
pin.
pin.
I think
I-
it would be great because you could wear your pin in public and people would be like, what's that pin? And you can tell them about Toastmasters.
Yeah.
You are being an ambassador.
Scott,
Yes.
I agree with Kathy
Cool.
that.
All right, so that it will be one of the options we will put forward when we put this out there is the pin, because I'm all about the pins. I'm still a Florida boy largely at heart.
Yeah, tell Mark Walton, boo. He won the pin. If he doesn't want a pin, don't give him a pin.
He brought
So
it up,
boo.
but it was across the board. Everyone else was like, "Yeah, that's just a bad idea."
No.
We could
So,
have
all
a
right.
digital version also of the pin. If we are doing a physical pin, we could have a digital version. So,
Very
you
cool.
know,
Yeah.
we could do both.
We will have something that the deck agrees that this is going to be. We'll do something that the deck's going to enjoy as a whole. We don't know
Scott?
what that's going to be. Yes, Donna.
Well, for example, the reason I like the pins is I have sponsored and helped in Special Olympics before.
Yep.
And when International Special Olympics came to South Bend, now, I purchased a Special Olympic hat and then went around to all of the stands because there were various state representations. And this hat, I have a ton of pins saying I've been to Kentucky, I've been to Florida, I've been here. Now, so I'm gung ho for the idea of pins, and then we'll buy a hat to
I
put them
agree.
on.
So if you were in Pathways, you remember these?
Yes.
Yeah,
Remember these little pins?
yeah, we
I
got
still have
one.
mine in the plastic because this was like a big deal. Like I wanted the pin. I have a bunch of these
Yeah.
from going out and doing Pathways things. Adele's like, I'm going to get mine too. So like it's kind of like this, but it's the ones we had were gold. They were round, had ambassador on them. And then like when we would go out and visit clubs, our advanced club down there, we always wore these buttons. That was asking me about advanced Toastmasters. So we were all, if you ever saw,
No.
if you've ever been to TGI Fridays, like we like the flair. The flair is important. So we'll do something that'll be fun with that. Nice.
Hey, Scott, I
Yeah.
don't know if you can see this.
Can you
It's a
turn your background
ribbon.
off? Can you turn your virtual background off?
Hang on.
Oh, sorry. It's getting lost in your virtual background.
I know. Hang on. Can you see it?
No.
Like
Well,
a
kind of. Yeah,
ribbon.
kind of. Yes. Goldfish.
Right. See, my daughters get this when they get as a reward. So
Nice.
maybe instead of pin, if you want a cheaper alternative, a ribbon.
Something to put on the banner, maybe. This is the
Yeah.
home of an ambassador.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
So in clubs
That's
down,
an idea.
in clubs down by y'all, do you decorate your banners? I haven't seen any banners be decorated.
We
Did you
do
put all of your ribbons on
decorate
your
our
banners?
banner.
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, the
We
ribbons
can-
that you get, like when
Yeah.
you get President's Distinguished or you
Yep.
do the membership thing.
You sew
yeah.
them on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do that up here. There's no club with anything on the banners up here. So I was like, what do you do with your ribbons? They're like, what ribbons? I'm like, oh. God.
Boring.
Oh, my home club has a ton of ribbons on him.
Yes.
That.
Yeah.
It's
And
very
so-
cool. So one of the things so I know this is completely off the topic, but at the spring conference, we will do a banner walk. We will do the parade of banners where every club brings their banner and you walk into the room and everyone's carrying their banner and then you keep the banners around the room. The main
Ours
room
is
at
heavy.
spring
Yeah.
conference. They're actually not that heavy. You'd be surprised. And usually more than one person comes from a club. So you get two people, you get one on each side and you walk in with the banners.
Yeah.
It's a really cool procession.
Yeah.
to be able to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we'll do something fun that will be memorable and folks will like. So does that all make sense to kind of how that whole thing works, why we're doing this, how it came together, where we're trying to go with the whole ambassador program, and what we're looking to get from it? Any questions do you have? Donna?
Hey, I have a thought, an idea.
Sure.
You know, this is for individuals, but what about a goal for our club to have so many people become ambassadors?
It's something that we've talked about. When the first 2 years we did it in Florida, we had an embassy winner also, which was the club with the most points. If we did that, we'd have to do it as a percentage of club members. Because they got rid of it in Orlando because they realized in '84 the club that always won it was the Blue Cross Blue Shield Club with 190 members. And they would just all take work on one Saturday and go visit another club. Shockingly, they won every year. But it was a corporate club just with a bunch of people. So yes, I love the idea. We are definitely still tinkering with the embassy process also to see what that's going to look like.
Okay, Scott.
Yes.
Question. That. Oh.
That's a big dog.
Yeah.
I never get snuck up on.
Can we also count when we are visiting clubs outside of our district? Nah, because
Absolutely. 100% yes. Definitely. You can definitely do that.
Good.
Yes. But it's all about the relationships. They don't have to be in your district. You can absolutely go visit other people, other places. Yes. Sean.
Well, before your program started, I'm already an ambassador because I've been going to clubs, different clubs, at least 2 to 3 a week. I friend them on Facebook and then they invite me and I go and I always ask them if you have a role or a position available for me to take. So I've been speaker. Yesterday I was at an Oklahoma club and I was the timer. So I've been speaker and timer and table topics all across the United States. So
it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
And they asked me back and I have to schedule them in. I have to get a calendar and schedule them in so I can make sure that I can go. I can't promise every meeting, but I try to make them at least once or twice a month. And it's really fun. A club I visited yesterday, they run every meeting like it was a contest.
Nice.
Ah.
Yeah, so after every speech, before they vote, they have to check and see if it would qualify.
Yeah.
And after table topics, they make sure it qualifies. They don't even vote unless it qualifies.
Yep,
so they do timer, because I was a timer at that club. They do time and report after everything.
Yes. Yeah, that's how I grew up in Toastmasters. That was exactly the same way that I grew up in Florida in Toastmasters, was that same way. We don't vote here for anything either. We barely do evaluation sometimes. So it's different cultures, different places, but isn't that fun to go see how other people do stuff? You're like, man, that's cool.
It is interesting. Everybody has a different take on Toastmasters, and nobody is not following the rules, but it's just their interpretation of them. So it's been very, very interesting. I really enjoyed it. And
nice.
and they don't get mad. They invite me back. So, they're like, who is she? But
that's
they invite
awesome.
me back. So
if you want to go visit a club, I have some clubs in Florida that would love to have you too. I think you would really enjoy with some of that stuff. They're early, but they're fun. They're a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
I've enjoyed it so far.
Sweet.
So unfortunately, we can't do retroactive, right? So it starts August 1st.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I did my 20 and 20. I would have already been.
Nobody would. We would get these scores that would everybody be banking up visits from. Well, where was I on this date? Going back in their Zoom history. So yeah, we are going to start counting it as of August 1st, though. Yes, that is very true. So what other questions can I answer for you about this?
Scott, I have another question about a different thing. As a new area director, I was supposed to get badges and a business card, I think.
We have them to hand out at TLI on August 15th.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So yes.
Thank
They've not arrived yet. They're supposed to be here in the next week. Well, not here, but they're supposed to be to, I think, Lou's house in the next week.
Okay, sounds good.
So I think it's got, is it one club, one form per club?
One form per visit.
One form per visit.
One
And
form per
then,
visit. And
and
if you
then
look
you
on the
have to
bottom,
submit it to Anna.
yep, Anna has volunteered that she will be the one tracking this because
Okay.
it really takes a spreadsheet to be able to keep track of people's points over the course of time. So it's just going to be a matter of taking a picture of it and emailing it to Anna.
And submit it within 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks, if it hasn't been submitted, it's not counted?
We don't want people to hold on to them for 6 months, and then at the end of the year, all of a sudden Anna's printer just has to go berserk, with reams of paper. So it says after 2 weeks, but there's nothing in there that says it's not going to qualify. You're going to still get the goal is the relationship behind it. So we want you to we don't want to dissuade anybody from doing this. We're just trying to help manage Anna's life a little bit better because I did it 1 year in Florida. And it can be overwhelming. It is insane when it gets rolling and people start doing it. My goodness, the train has left the station. Yes. So what else can we answer for you about this? We think we covered everything for the ambassador program. We all cool with it? Do we like the program? Do we think it's going to be good?
Yes.
Yeah. Sweet.
Oh, quick question. Did I miss
Sure.
How many points do you need to get a pin or whatever is going to be?
Didn't
ribbon?
miss that whatsoever. We haven't come up with that yet, largely because we haven't done our budget meeting yet. That until the trio sits down and figures out, because this is going to be a year that we're going to have to be a little bit more frugal with some things. We don't have nearly as many members as we had last year. COVID kind of unfortunately shrunk a lot of clubs, and it cost us a few clubs. It's like it did every other district, every other club around the world. So we have to
We
figure
did
out.
not get any income from the spring conference because it got canceled.
Correct.
So we have no money.
Correct. We're doing TLI just because we can't get our money back. That's really the whole reason we're doing the TLI also.
Are we going to have registration for the TLI?
So hold that thought. I want to go to that next after we finish, after we kind of wrap up, make sure everybody's good on the ambassador program.
Okay.
So any other questions about the ambassador program? We're going once. We're going twice. Sold. Thank you very much. All right. So let's move forward and let me kind of give you a little bit of a history right now so you understand where we are in terms of TLI for August 15th. Yes, we are definitely still having a TLI in person on August 15th. When I did the survey beginning of the week, it was really because we started getting I started getting a bunch of emails about folks that wanted to back out because they weren't comfortable meeting in person. And I completely get that. It makes 100% sense. I get that entirely. We're not expecting a big crowd. We're thinking that maybe we're going to get 60 people if we're lucky at TLI. One of the reasons for that is a lot of folks have said, hey, we did all this online training. We're at about 570 club officers trained right now, which is way more than what we've done the past few years. A lot of clubs already have 7 of 7. So their incentive to leave the safety of their living room to go out into public and meet with people, it isn't necessarily as strong. And with COVID out there, and we know that Indianapolis isn't the safest of places right now for cases going up, which is why we're not having it actually in Indianapolis. We understand why people aren't going to come. That makes complete sense. So here's where it kind of snowballs a little bit. Because we're not getting a lot of people there, and because the Hilton originally said, no, we're not going to give you your money back for the spring conference. We will give you a credit that you can use in the next 6 or 9 months. So we said, we'll do the next TLI so we don't lose it because we already know when the next spring conference is. We knew when Fall Education Day was. We didn't really have another time that we could use before we'd lose that $1,200 we had already given them. We wanted to use it for something. So we did TLI. But then Hilton came back and said, we're not going to honor the room rates that we had originally agreed to, the $89 a night, because you don't have anywhere near as many people coming. So it's not beneficial for us if you don't have people staying here. So our room rate is, what's that?
Boo, Hilton.
Exactly. So the room rate they give is $145 a night.
Good
You can find a better rate than that on Expedia. So there's no reason for people to want to go. So less people, more money for rooms. So where we are right now, as I'm putting together the announcement to come out tomorrow, we're going to be doing probably 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. for TLI to give people an opportunity to drive to Edinburgh, go to TLI, and then drive home from Edinburgh. So you don't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get there. You can still leave, like if you leave at 6 and get there by 9 at the latest, you can still stop at Starbucks twice and you'll be fine. We're going to still do a lunch there, but we're going back and forth because they're like, well, we do buffets. And we're like, yeah, but buffets in an international pandemic is really a bad idea. So
Yes.
can we get box lunches? They're like, well, we do buffets. Like we got that part in the first response. Can we do box lunches? We're trying to figure out the food. We're not doing actual registrations for TLI because it's just like the normal TLI that we would do. Like if we'll do that for Fall Education Day for spring conference. But if you remember last year in June, we will have a couple people sitting at the desk checking folks off to who comes in. But we're going to use basically, I'm going to expand the spreadsheet that I've been using to track clubs. And we're just going to have people sign right in on that. So there's no need to actually register to go. Once we figure out the food, there'll be an Eventbrite link so that you can pay for your lunch ahead of time and you won't have to actually come there. And it's going to be, we believe it's going to be $15 per person because we still have a little bit of extra money that we're subsidizing some of the lunch also. So with taxes and stuff, it's going to be between $14 and $15 a person so we can just break even for the day at TLI. So that's where we are. The next thing that we need though, because today I had 4 presenters back out. I had 4 people say, I'm just not cool with going to meet in person. I'd rather not do that thing. I'll present online, but not in person. So I'm back to needing presenters again for TLI. We're only looking at 5 hours. So we're looking at 5 sessions, 3 rooms, 15 sessions total. So if you know somebody or if you yourself are interested in presenting at TLI, just let me know. We have some spaces that have just come open again to be able to do that.
Scott?
Yes, Donna.
You should have mine.
I do.
Where I'm willing to do Club Central.
Very cool. And I'll be getting all of that out as I hate to do this, but I'll probably be doing some multitasking while I'm at all of the district training over the weekend. This weekend and next weekend, we have 4, 8, 9, 10 hours of training this weekend, 8 hours of training next weekend. In lieu of going to Paris, we get to watch 10 hours of webinars. I know it's just as good as seeing the Eiffel Tower. It's just as good as going to Paris. So I'll probably doing there's a couple are like, no, it's not. No. I agree. But there'll be some times in there that I'm sure that I'll be able to do a little bit of double work to get some information out to you, Donna, on times and sessions and get all the calendars out for the sessions. So we're still doing it. It's way scaled back compared to what we started with. Folks just aren't going to come. When we did the survey, we had 165 people respond to the survey and only 22 said yes, that they were definitely going to come. And of that, a couple of them have already emailed me back and said, I changed my mind. So if we get 60 people, I think we would be happy. We'd be lucky if we got 60 people. But that wouldn't put us out too much money either if we have to pay for 60 lunches and only 30 people show up. So it wouldn't be crazy to take a huge hit on a district budget either. So we're trying to be responsible in all those ways. So that's where we are with TLI. And you kind of a little bit of an update on the training. So while we're still here, we have a little bit of time left. What other questions can I answer for you on any stuff that's happening out there so we don't have to email back and forth and we can just talk?
Are we still doing the 7 officers trained incentive?
Yep. Yes, we are.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we are. And we have a lot more 7 of 7 this time too. A lot more.
Yeah, I have one area where if Chief Anderson would get their act together, 5 clubs for this area would be all trained, and it's from a brand new area director.
Very cool. It's very nice. The amount of people that have gone through club office training has been fantastic. We're definitely keeping the online version for future years as well. This is definitely something that's going to stick around for quite a while.
Yeah.
Kathy.
Okay, so I want to back up to the TLI for a minute. You said it was $15. I was thinking that was for the box lunch, but that's for the whole day?
We don't charge for TLI. There's no cost for TLI. There's a charge. There's a fee that goes into Fall Education Day, but we had already paid for the room for the spring conference. That they wouldn't refund us the money for the spring conference. That's why we're having this. So so all you have to pay for is lunch. It's purely
I'm
just
getting
lunch.
the spring conference and TLI mixed up.
Yeah. Now this is, we paid for the rooms in advance. We can't get our money back. We're just not going to give Hilton an extra $1,200 because we like them, because we don't.
Okay. So this is not the conference at all. It's just education day for, okay. So what are the speakers that you're needing to speak on?
The 7 club offices.
Just on the club officer training.
Yep. 7 club officer trainings. And then we'll have Club Central. We will have Pathways. And there'll be a couple, I think there'll be 2 area director programs in there as well.
So what officers are you needing to speak?
All 7 of my club offices have backed out.
Oh.
Ooh.
Well, fortunately, there's a lot of club officers that are out there.
Okay. Well, I will consider, I'm not going to jump in yet. I'll think about
That's
it
fine.
for president.
Okay.
Since I did that last year.
Cool.
But I'll let you know. I have to think
Thank
about
you.
that.
Thank you. Yes. So there's no charge for the day. It's just for lunch. You're just paying for lunch.
And
It makes
Scott,
and you have to buy lunch down there anyway. So,
Yeah.
Shilpa, how can I help you?
yes, so the TLI event, the presenters have to be there in person, right? We cannot
Correct.
present
Correct.
online or anything. Okay.
Correct. We're going to record it and post them, but they have to be present. We're not going to project them.
And we could not get the hotel deposits, whatever we have made, to transfer to next year or something and make this all virtual?
Nope. Yeah, that was, we went through a lot of steps trying to figure this out. And there was a lot of, no, we're not doing that for you. No, we're not going to do that for you either. No, we're still not going to do that one for you either. This was our only option.
But if officers still need trained, they can go to this, or they can attend virtually and still get their credit for being trained.
They can, if they go to this, they get their live credit also. So remember, in order to get credit for club officer training, you have to have a live portion according to Toastmasters International.
But if they're not going to be able to watch it live?
They can, we're not going to be able to stream it. We thought we were going to be able to stream. We can't stream it, but we can record it.
Oh, okay. So how would, if they've not had the live component yet and they do the virtual for this, well, it would be recorded, like you said.
Correct.
Is there going to be another live component sometime?
The last week of August, the same week as the convention, those Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday evenings, we have roundtables again.
Okay.
Those are live. And then you also have some divisions are having live training as well. Like Donna's having one, I think August 22nd, if I remember right, Donna?
Farhana and I are still iffy.
Okay.
And our district,
and Tyson's having roundtables as well.
I know Mark Walton was considering that. He was asking us that, but if we have the round table, that covers it, really. We wouldn't necessarily have to do an extra one unless the people couldn't make it to the round table.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Hey,
Correct.
Scott, as far as recording it, I tried to, Francisco asked me to ask for volunteers to record, and I only got one volunteer. So how are you going to handle 15 sessions being recorded?
There are only 3 at a time.
3 at a time, okay.
3 at a time over 5 hours. So actually probably not even, because then we'll break for lunch at some point in there as well. So maybe 12 sessions. I would say probably 12 sessions. As I think about it, we need to eat. That would be a good thing for us. Some of us get hangry. We will have tripods for each room, and most people have smartphones now. We absolutely have a Mac. There's no way we don't have 3 people there with smartphones. We can record on my phone, we can record on Francisco's phone, we can record on a third person's phone, and just record a session, save them, upload them, and then post them.
Well, Francisco said he's not going to be there,
Okay.
and he's.
There's definitely three. I have a phone, Jean has a phone, Angela has a phone. Just between the three of us, we could record the three
You could
sessions on our
record.
phone.
Okay.
And you can record good enough on an iPhone these days or on a Samsung that it's as good as what we could have done 10 years ago or 3 years ago on expensive video equipment. So we'll just set up tripods there and put phones in and record. And then that'll also help create some distance because we want to make sure that there's distance between. It's going to be a masked event also. So everybody in the crowd will have masks on. And there'll be a minimum of 6 feet between the speakers and the front set of tables.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Adele?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, he was worried. What's the guidance about the video recording? Because we're gonna video everything, and he was nervous about it because he's the chairperson for that. And I said, okay, let me ask around. Only one person volunteered, and I don't even know if she's gonna be there.
Yeah. Well, if with 3 tripods, three phones,
Okay.
we're set. We're set. The most that we'll have to do is to plug a phone in over lunch because I'm sure we can all record a couple sessions before we break for lunch and then have to plug our phones in again.
Okay.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Scott,
Yes.
the second after the TLI on August 15th, the other training, the last one that you're offering,
Yep.
It's from the district, right? And that's on what day did you say?
That's the last week of August. I don't have my. Oh wait, I have a
Last
phone.
week of August. Okay.
It is August 24th, 25th, and 27th.
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday.
So
7 o'clock roundtables.
I see. So at the division level, we don't have to do any.
You can. It's not that you're not allowed to.
Okay.
I tried to build in something else so you didn't have to.
Okay, I see.
Because especially during a time when everyone is quarantined, it's easier if we. I think there's something more simple to having one process working just for all of these recorded sessions. You are more than welcome that if you want to do one, giddy up, go for it.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep. We're doing everything we can to make all of our area directors and division directors' jobs as easy and rewarding as possible. We don't want you to walk away from this year saying, my goodness, what did I get myself into? We want you to walk away saying, my goodness, that was fun. Right, Donna? We want it to be fun. What else? What else you have?
I'm assuming there's going to be more information going out then about TLI.
Yeah, there'll be schedules coming out over the next couple of days.
Okay. And then I don't know if I missed this, but the 7 officers trained in 7 something incentive.
707.
What's that?
There are incentives that we have a 707 award system that every club gets. Basically gets money, gets a gift certificate for TI.
$25.
$25 here?
Yeah, it was $25.
Yeah, we're not positive it's going to be $25 this year. Because again, we have fewer members, we have fewer clubs. So in order to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible, I can't say it's going to be $25, but there will be a 707 award.
Okay.
Of some sort.
I
When we do
was
the budgets, we'll
familiar
figure
with
that out.
Okay. Thank you.
We don't want to go broke. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Right?
Because there's nothing in the bank.
Yes.
And you can't get a loan from anybody
No.
or from the bank.
No. All right, we all good?
We're good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to hit stop record.